Good evening. I'm Dan Jennings, and this is your Blue Wave Report for May 7th, 2019. Tonight we are going to discuss electronic voting machine companies ES&S and the dangers they pose to our elections. The nation's top voting machine maker, ES&S, has admitted in a letter to federal lawmakers that the company installed remote access software on election management systems it sold over a period of 6 years ending in 2006, thus contradicting previous denials. This revelation raises questions about the security of those systems and the integrity of the elections that were conducted with them. This would include the 2016 presidential election. Election management systems are not the voting terminals that voters use to cast their ballots, but they are just as critical, as they tabulate final results aggregated from voting machines. ES&S initially said it had installed remote access software in only a handful of Pennsylvania jurisdictions, but later admitted to NPR the number is closer to 300. ES&S will not identify those jurisdictions, but a 2011 forensics analysis of the election system in Pennsylvania found that it had been remotely accessed on multiple occasions by an unknown computer. In 2011, the election board in Pennsylvania's Venango County, a largely rural county in the northwest part of the state, asked David A. Eckhart, a computer science professor at Carnegie Mellon University, to examine its voting systems. What they found was that remote access software, which is a type of program that system administrators use to access and control computers remotely over the internet or over an internal network, had been installed. Election systems are supposed to be air-gapped, otherwise disconnected from the internet and other machines that might be connected to the internet. This is to prevent hacking or malware. The presence of the software suggested this was not the case with the Venango machines, which made the system vulnerable to hackers. Anyone who had gained remote access to the system could have used the software to take control of the machines. Logs showed the software was installed 2 years earlier and used multiple times, most notably for 80 minutes on November 1st, 2010, the night before the federal election. The software, it turns out, was not being used by a hacker, but by an authorized county contractor working from home. Still, the arrangement meant anyone who might gain control of the contractor's home computer could use it to access and gain control of that county's election system. On election night, many polling places around the country transmit voting results to their county election offices via modems embedded in or connected to their voting machines. Election officials and vendors insist that the modem transmissions are safe because the connections go over phone lines and not the internet. But as security experts have pointed out, many of the modems are cellular, which use radio signals to send calls and data to cell towers and routers belonging to mobile carriers such as Verizon, Sprint, and AT&T. These routers are technically part of the internet. And even when landline modems are used instead of cellular ones, the calls still likely pass through routers because phone companies have replaced much of their analog switching equipment in recent years with digital systems. Because of this, attackers could theoretically intercept unofficial results as they're transmitted on election night, or worse, use the modem connections to reach back into the election machines at either end and install malware or alter election software and official results. ES&S was founded by two brothers, one of whom then moved to Diebold, where he served as president of the election division. During his tenure at Diebold also included remote access software in its central election management systems. ES&S then acquired Diebold in 2009, but Senator Schumer asked the DOJ to intervene because the company would have accounted for 70% of U.S. election equipment. So in 2010, in a consent decree, ES&S agreed to sell some of its assets, not apparently the county contracts themselves though, to a Canadian company, Dominion Voting, which arose from a security to buy them. In 2010, Dominion also acquired Sequoia Voting. Sequoia had been previously owned by a company called Smartmatic. Smartmatic owned Sequoia voting systems from 2005 through at least December 2006. In 2007, independent experts analyzed the voting machines and concluded that virtually every important software security mechanism was vulnerable to hacking. Sequoia was also the vendor that supplied the notorious faulty punch cards during the 2000 election. Smartmatic itself is no stranger to controversy. The CIA concluded that Chavez used Smartmatic voting machines to rig his 2004 recall election. Smartmatic then acquired US-based Sequoia in 2005, but Dominion Young ES&S kept most or all of the Diebold contracts, and its current control over US elections may still approach 70%, regardless of its sale to Dominion of intellectual property rights to outdated equipment. So, Senator Schumer, you celebrated too early. Meanwhile, ES&S has donated over $30,000 to Republicans in Pennsylvania, and Brian Kemp's former chief of staff, David Dove, sat on an ES&S advisory board, and a former lobbyist is now Kemp's current chief of staff. ES&S and Dominion are both selling dangerous new touchscreen ballot marking devices throughout the U.S. that generate machine-marked so-called paper ballots that the only part that is printed is a barcode that you cannot read. ES&S and Dominion are also selling dangerous hybrid versions of these already barcode voting systems, which combine the ballot marking device and scanner into a single unit. Experts say these hybrids can change the ballots after they are cast. ES&S and Dominion are a clear and present danger to our democracy, and we implore you, the listener, to demand these systems not be used. Thank you to the following: motherboard.vice.com, @JennyCone1, Bradblog, Salon.com, New York Times, for information used in tonight's report. As always, I'm Dan Jennings, reminding you,
don't just comment, act. Subscribe. Have a good night, everybody.